Hello.
Hello. Good to see you all. This is the first time we're doing YouTube Live. Thank you for joining us for this session, especially during lunchtime.
And thank you so much for 16,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel.
And it's something that I celebrate. Thank you very much. And we hope to bring you more value in this live stream. It's the first time we're doing this.
Yes.
Because we wanted to bring the latest research that we've done for Elta with ParkTown and how do you select the right units. So we hope that while watching this, you'll be able to learn more about how exactly do we analyze unit development and how do we select the right units in the development itself.
And I think we can see your comments on the screen. So this is our first time doing it. So if you have any questions, you can let us know and we'll be happy to answer them throughout our live also.
Yes, indeed. And hi Tofu, Hippo, hi Ryan, hi Yongjin, hi Brian. We're happy to have you all here. So get the questions coming and we're more happy to interact. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so today, the main topic we'll cover is mainly three key things. One is
Nico and Nikki.
unit selection. Yeah, hello, hi Nico. So selecting units, okay, how do we exactly pick the right units in ParkTown and Elta? And layout, which one is better? The second thing we'll cover is about exit strategy. So what exactly do we compare to? How do we know that what's the exit price we're looking for both ParkTown and Elta? And most importantly, transformation, does it truly matter? Then last but not least, we are going to share about hidden gems. Okay, what are the methods to find hidden gems? Maybe ParkTown and Elta, it could be something that is very popular in the market right now, but are there products that
other opportunities. Coming up this year, that's something that we'll be touching on also.
Yes, indeed. Then last one is a bonus segment. We'll be sharing about our personal investor strategy as an investor. How Jervis, myself, and Grace, we actually got around 22.5 million worth of private portfolio. How do we actually invest in this season? And what is a strategy that we're looking at? Yeah. So if any of our GM broker brought you here and you're watching it live right now, okay, do drop me a text and say thank you to them. And they have all these details that is passed to them that they can share more. And if you have any questions regarding about Elta or ParkTown and you're keen to find out more, do scan the QR code right below where you have any questions, and that's something that we will share with you more along the way. All right. So before we start, okay, I'd like to thank everyone for supporting our YouTube channel, and it's something that we are constantly value adding in this journey.
I mean, we've grown so much, right? We have so many series from our sales side to our investment side. We even started a whole new series called the Stewardship, and that's where we also want to bring on board investment clients to share a little bit on their journey and what they found for the investment home also.
Yes, indeed. And next up, if you are someone who like to have live updates, you can join our Telegram channel. And you can scan the QR code, and more than happy to keep updated our market news,
or good deals sometimes.
Yes, and also home tour series. Okay, and Instagram, we are on Instagram, so we have always done our short clips on Instagram to keep you all updated about the latest listing. So feel free to join us for the channel.
And also all the behind the scenes. So if you want to see how JNA CNY went and how the low hay crazily went yesterday, you can go and check out our Instagram page also.
Yes, indeed. Okay, and next, if you're someone who on the go, you would like to listen to podcasts, okay, join us on Spotify. And that's something that we hope to continuously value add along the way while you commit to work.
Yep,
and let's start today's topic. Okay, first up, we'll be sharing about how exactly do we select units and compare the layout. Okay, from this, we hope to share with you what are the cheapest stack do we think it will be, and how exactly do we take note of certain criteria when it comes to selecting the right unit in the development.
Correct. So we'll start off with ParkTown, especially for ParkTown. It's a very big development. There is so many different types of layouts and facing. So we'll also touch on what are some specific things to take note. If let's say ParkTown is a development you're keen for, when you're looking for a unit, what should you be careful of? Okay, so a few things that we'll look at when you're looking at the stacks for ParkTown is that if you're buying for a school and you're buying for the polytechnic school, you need to make sure that there are certain stacks and blocks that may not be within that 1 km. So we'll touch on later which one will likely be within the 1 km. There are also some stacks that may have west side, so that's something you're concerned about. Do stay to the end to see which stacks you have to be careful about. Of course, because this is integrated, right? So we have the bus interchange. If you're someone who doesn't like the noise and you want to avoid the bus sounds, you also have to avoid some stacks. Then of course, you have your commercial side and there's a hawker center. So while it brings convenience, you have to also be careful of the ventilation. And if you're someone who doesn't like the smell, then there are also certain stacks that you should avoid. And last but not least, with so many similar layouts, right? There are certain layouts with slightly protruding walls. So if you are someone that wants a certain kind of view and don't want it to be blocked, then there are also certain stacks that you should avoid, which we will be touching on.
Yeah, but in terms of investment, getting back to entry price, is it worth, even if it's ventilation facing, like for example, Watertown at Punggol area, there are some that still be able to make money as long as entry price is right. So at the end of the day, it's already back to what price you enter at. And for this, for walkaway price, we will cover it like internally between our investment team and also any GM brokers who brought any of clients here. They will be covering you what exactly is a walkaway price.
Correct. So as much as we talk about the entry price, why we also wanted to share on the facing is also because rather than just look at pure profitability, when it comes to exiting, you also want to have the liquidity in exiting.
Yes.
So yes, there are units that would make money, but they could take a slightly longer time. Let's say instead of maybe 2 months, it could take, let's say, 6 and 8 months. Then it's the opportunity cost. So that's something that you guys want to take note of also.
Yes, indeed. All right.
Okay, so let's move forward with the facings. Some of the things to look out for is for units that are facing the inside towards the park, you are actually facing an area where public can actually walk through. So an interesting fact about this development is actually the developer don't really own the first floor of this whole development because that's where your bus interchange and everything is, right? And if you go on to the next slide, you will have a hawker center. So it's going to be very, very convenient. But if you are the blocks or the stacks that's on top of it, you need to, if you see where the red color box is, right, this is also where the ventilation is.
Yes.
So there will bound to be some kind of smell if you are in that block as compared to maybe other stacks. So if this is something that you're very particular about, then you may want to avoid this stack or be a little bit more careful when choosing your unit also. Okay. So looking at the master plan, I would say the facings here, they are relatively blocked. It's either you're blocked now or you're blocked next time. So you're either blocked by the HDB now or you'll see some empty plots around, right? They're upcoming, they are going to be either an upcoming school or it's going to be an upcoming residential. So we will go through later how to choose it. But generally speaking, if you can choose block and upcoming block, which one will you pick?
Definitely currently is blocked.
Currently is blocked because it's more certain. If you pick upcoming block, it's
Could be
going
construction.
to be like Affinity. So we've sold an Affinity unit that was
In front of a HDB that's coming up.
BTO.
Yeah. So with that, of course, liquidity may have sometimes be an issue. So I'd rather have certainty to something that is in front of me, and maybe the price could be something cheaper, rather than buying an unblocked view that things will be okay than something built in front of me.
Correct. So yes, the unit still profited. It's just that when it came to exiting, it was very hard because when the buyers came, you couldn't open the windows because the construction is happening, especially if they are starting the foundation and everything, right? It's going to be very dusty. So just have to be mindful about it.
Correct. And one more thing to take note is about the roads itself. So fun fact, if you look at this, right, these are the smaller roads. Okay, and the one that's facing towards Tampines North MRT, that is when you had the 4-lane road, the slightly busier road. So that is something that will factor in terms of selecting which stack will be the cheapest potentially. Okay.
Okay, so this is a further breakdown to see where you're exactly facing. So let's say if you're facing the school side, that's a future school, which is an education plot. On your left side, you're going to be facing a current HDB, which is Tampines Greenview. Towards the top, where Chris mentioned the big road is, right, there are you will currently get unblocked view. Like Affinity in the past, it was also unblocked land, but upcoming is being zone residential. So it's a sooner or later thing. It's just that, it's not being released and we don't know when yet. Of course, right side, you have Oro that's coming up. If not, then there's also other residential plots that in the future could be either private or HDB.
Yes, indeed. And to the south itself, you also can see Tampines Green Court that's already done. So these are all factors that we look at to determine the facing.
Yep. And if you're to be looking at schools, for now, unlikely all the blocks will be within the 1 km. Hopefully, if it's like Lentor Hills, right, initially one site wasn't, but after that, everything was within 1 km. That's the best case. But in the worst case, if let's say some of the blocks are not within 1 km and you want to buy really for the school, then I would suggest getting something towards the downside. Because if you look at the map, right, you will see that the top part, let's say for example, the furthest block towards block 15 and block 7, these are the blocks that would, if there would be some blocks that's not within, these two have the highest chance of not being within the 1 km. So if school matters to you a lot and you're really buying for own stay and you want to get a school, try to consider something towards the lower end of the development.
Yes.
Okay. Next thing to also note is the entryway. So the good thing about this is that they actually split up the entryway for the commercial side, for the residential side, as well as for the bus interchange. And there are some stacks that would be facing the bus interchange entryway. So if you don't want to hear because the buses come in and out the entire day, right? Besides like maybe mid 2-3 a.m. But most of the time there'll be entry. So if you're someone who's going to be working from home and you're going to buy to stay inside, and this is something you want to avoid, then just be careful of the stacks that is facing the bus interchange as well as the residential entrance.
Yes. Right.
Okay, so going on to layouts, there are so many layouts in ParkTown.
Yes.
But we're just going to break it down simply because most of them are similar, but just some things to take note, right? On the screen, you're going to be seeing 3 different bedroom types. So today, mainly because of time constraint, we're going to go through Elta later. So we'll touch on the 2-bedroom premium as well as the 3-bedders. And if you want to know about 4-bedder or any other layout types, then do contact any of your J&A brokers, or you can also scan the QR code to contact us.
Yes.
Okay. So if you have to look here, the main difference you will see, very minor, but it will really affect your view, is the wall that is protruding out from your master bedroom. So if you have to look at the first one on the left, right, you'll notice that out of bedroom 2 and the master bedroom, there are two protruding walls that are coming out. And these are for the neighboring blocks. This also means that when you are in your room and you're looking out, you would likely not get the unblocked view.
So there will be a wall that is, I would say, blocking the view. There's something to take note. And when you sit at the balcony, instead of looking to your right and seeing a full unblocked view, you will still be facing a wall.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's some things to take note. But downside, the upside is you have a slightly deeper living and dining area for this layout. And in terms of the other layouts, if you were to take note, you'll notice that the alignment of the room difference, okay, there's slight difference, but not much. And position of kitchen is slightly different, but all are enclosed kitchen.
Yeah. So of course, if facings are similar and the pricings are similar, and one of them have this protruding wall out of your bedroom and one doesn't, right? Then of course choose the one that doesn't have the protruding wall so that your visual is slightly more unblocked as compared like you're in the room, right? And then there's this wall that is just like right by your side. You won't be able to see what's on either your left or your right.
Yes, indeed. All right, so meanwhile, when we see some comments coming, we see questions, okay, we'll feel free to answer. But of course, out of the ParkTown topic, we will actually be discussing at the end of the entire video. All right, so next up, let's take a look at the different stacks and compare. Okay, Grace, can we ask through?
Okay, so one more thing to note also, for the two bed, 2 baths, most of them are dumbbell layout, and then there is one traditional layout. So if you go back one more slide, right? The traditional layout is actually 721 square feet, and then the dumbbell layout is 678 square feet. So 721 is 43 square feet more. If you multiply by the average of 2004, that's gonna give you about 100,000 more in terms of quantum. If let's say you pay the 100,000, you get windows in your bathroom and you get windows in your kitchen, people may pay for it.
Yes.
But in this case, you add 100,000 more for the traditional layout, and the kitchen is still doesn't have a window. The bathroom still doesn't have the window. Then you have to think whether you want to pay this extra 100,000 for a traditional layout or not.
Yes, indeed. And the layout add-on is actually at the walkway over here and also linked to the bedroom. So it's really not functional space by itself.
Correct. Okay, so if you're to break it down, there are a lot of stacks over here, but we make it a bit simple by circling the blue color one out to be the traditional layout. So the ones that is 721 square feet. The red color one is the dumbbell layout, means the 678 square feet. And then remember we talked about some of the units having the sunken bedroom with the protruding wall. That one we actually highlighted in green. So we actually listed from the cheapest, based on what we guess. Developer may price it very differently or slightly differently, but this is just preparing our buyers also to say, okay, before we even go in a booking day, we need to have an idea on what is our top priority. And for 2-bedders, if you're buying purely for investment, pricing is very important. So usually when it comes to the resale market, people may not pay as much for premium view or high floor. So try to get in a good entry price also.
Yes, of course. Yeah, and factoring all these factors like bus interchange, where sun facing, all this, then we'll be able to derive what exactly is the right price to enter. Yeah, so looking at the cheapest, okay, is likelihood the smaller unit, 678 square feet. So our guess, the cheapest will likelihood be the one that's facing the bus interchange entrance, 107, stack number 98. Okay, that is the smaller, I would say, dumbbell layout unit. Okay, followed by that, okay, the next, the big, I would say the higher price will be 95 and 80. Yeah, so these are the one that will be facing the future development.
Which is on your right side.
On your right side, correct. Okay, then subsequently, I would guess the cheapest one the most expensive one of the 678 square feet will be one facing inward and community plaza. At least it's quiet facing, it's inward facing, not too bad. And last but not least is if you look at the 43, 1, 2, 12, 13, 23, 33, 32. So all this, if you think note, they are all the dumbbell layout. There's a Park West side inside facing. So they have placed it very well, such that most of the dumbbell unit are all inward facing.
Correct. So west side will likely be slightly cheaper in our opinion as compared to East because the blocks are relatively closer. So the view that you get or the distance that you get from the next block is not going to be as wide as the blocks at Park East.
Yep. So Park West is actually located right over here. Yeah, and Park East is on the right. Yeah, where there is much more vast difference between the site. So Stack 92 all the way to 101. Okay, so it's something that we may foresee a higher pricing.
Yeah.
Then next, we have the bigger layout. So 721 square feet, the total of 6 stacks. Okay, so the cheapest one most likely will be the one facing the bus interchange entrance. So it's 106 and 97. Okay, and the one that is slightly more expensive, likelihood will be 96 and 79 facing the right, which is the future development.
Correct.
On the right hand side over here. Then last but not least, likelihood the most expensive one, I would guess, is those that's facing towards the community facing. So at least it's private, quiet, and not too bad.
Correct. So at this point, we don't know exactly what's the price for each specific stacks. Of course, the order of your choice from an investment point of view could change depending on how the developer priced it. Sometimes they price all the units relatively similar. Then of course, pick the one with the better facing. But if the premium comes in very high for the better facing one, right? Then of course go for the slightly not so ideal facing, but maybe at a much cheaper entry price.
Yep.
So before you go into your booking day, make sure you really list out your priority in terms of your facing. Don't go in there on that day trying to pick because it's gonna be very emotional,
very chaotic,
and very hectic also.
Yeah, so of course entry price is still key and factoring all these things in. And next we have the 2-bedroom premium plus study. Yeah, so in terms of layout type, also very similar. Okay, they are all dumbbell layout with a study at the side. Okay, and 764 square feet. I would say only slight alignment difference. Yeah. So if you look at the site map, okay, for most of the 2+ study, all inward facing.
Yeah, actually all of it are inward facing. So you can also see that developers sometimes give better facings to like the more premium units.
Yes. Because they want to make sure that even premium unit, they're willing to charge a higher PSF or same PSF. Even quantum, they can value the quantum to be similar to that of the 2-bed that is more premium, that's inward facing. Yeah, so what we notice is for the cheapest, likelihood will be one on the Park East by itself. Sorry, Park West. Okay, Park West by itself, where most of the blocks are close to each other. Okay, so our closest that we guess will be stack number 3 and stack number 91.
Yeah.
Okay, rationale being it facing that of the unit that is very close to each other. Okay, then followed by that, right, and which all these stacks over here, and followed by that, then there will be the Park West, where most of them are actually located over here, starting from 77 and 78, which our guess is closest to tennis court.
Yes.
Yeah. Then followed by that is the rest of it, where we can see the price of it will be on 66, 84, 57, and 102, which is both that's facing towards each other but further apart.
Correct. So I think generally speaking, if you are a developer and you're going to look at the price of unit, right, Park West we think might be slightly cheaper because of the distance. But of course, once you get a wider view or a slightly bigger, I would say distance to your opposite block, that's when the price may start to increase.
Yes.
Okay, so let's look at the 3 beta. Again, 3 beta, a lot of layouts, but you guys have to remember 926, 936, and 947. The rest is really very, very small minor difference at the foyer, which I'll show you in the 947 later on. So 926 versus 936, the difference is 10 square feet. If you have a choice on that day and your ballot number is good, our suggestion is go for 936 first because it's 10 square feet more, but the difference is not just a dumbbell and a traditional. You realize that the dumbbell unit for 926, right, you don't have any windows in the kitchen, so you cannot do heavy cooking. There is also no windows in your bathroom too, as well as your master bathroom. So essentially there is no ventilations beside your main bedrooms and your living room. One more thing to note also for 926 is that if you can see this red box that we actually highlighted out, right, there is this protruding wall because your neighboring is a bigger unit type. So this will be a sharing wall. This also means that for bedroom 2, your left side visual, right, is going to be blocked by this wall, which is quite protruding. Yeah, so that's something to take note. That's why, if possible, go for 936 first because there are windows in all the kitchen, as well as all the bathrooms.
And one more thing to take note, it's very interesting. They also put a small window over here at the walkway, which is nearer to the master bedroom. So that's something that is quite unique. Not many developers has such a layout type. So the same price, go for 936.
Okay, then the rest, 947, they are quite similar. The only difference is at the foyer. So some people, they prefer not to see the living room when they walk in. Some people prefer that little walk-in, walkway, right? But some people don't like it because they feel like it's a wasted space. So it's up to personal preference. Investment-wise, I feel like the facing is going to matter a lot more than, the difference in the foyer.
Yes.
Okay, so again, to break it down, the cheapest is likely going to be 926, firstly, because it's the smallest. Secondly, because there is no windows in any of the bathrooms as well as the kitchen.
Yep.
So there is stack 6, stack 17, and stack 37, which we highlighted in blue. The cheapest likely would be stack 6 because that's where the hawker center is. You're going to be on top of the hawker center. That's likely where the ventilation chef is also. Then after that, we have followed by stack 17, which is current HDB. And do note, if you are concerned about West Sun for own stay, this on the left side, these stacks will have West Sun. But honestly, from an investment point of view, we've exited West Sun units. All you have to do is put solar film. So it depends on the entry price. Of course, if the entry price is the same, then avoid the West Sun. But if it's much, much cheaper, right, it's not a deal breaker, I would say.
Yes. The last one list is stack 37. They're facing towards the 4-lane road. But by itself, same thing, because roadside facing, they're all road facing. So we find that at the end of the day, it is still back to the entry price that's more important for this 3 stacks comparison.
Correct. So general rule of thumb is you're going to pay premium for something, right? Make sure you get value out of it. Like if you're going to pay for slightly higher floor, if you get an unblocked view, then in terms of exit, you're going to have premium. But like in this case, whether you pick one side or the other side, you're still facing the road and you're still going to be blocked. It's either you're blocked now or in the future. Then I wouldn't pay too much of a premium just to get like a better stack per se.
Yes, indeed. So this premium, of course, you can approach any of our general brokers, and then that's something that we will share. What exactly the premium to choose the right unit compared to just looking at the cheapest price.
Because on that day, there's going to be so many units. Everything is going to be everywhere. So make sure that you have your list before you go into your booking day.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So
next up, we have 936. Okay, so 936 is the one that's highlighted in green. Cheapest one likely would be 86 because it's the nearest to the tennis court. So there's 2 courts, right? The bigger one is a tennis court. I think the smaller one is like a multi-purpose court. Okay. Yep. Then after that, 89 will be facing the upcoming residential plot. Okay, and then after that, you have stack 59, which is the inside facing one.
Yes. So inside facing, if you take note, it doesn't really face the block directly. It still clear a certain block number until you can see the pool from the other side of your unit. So I think it's still quite a clearance as compared to just facing side by side to another unit. Okay, but one thing to note, it does come with some West Sun. That's one thing to take note. But of course, if you select units that are on the lower floor, maybe the West Sun will be blocked by the other blocks.
Yep.
Okay, and next up we have 947 square feet. Okay, which is the one likelihood 10805 and 104. Interesting, they all put it right in front of the bus interchange. Yeah, so they're really pricing it such that it can potentially be same price as something that
the 936.
936.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we have stack 28. Okay, which is facing towards the West Sun facing. Yep. And followed by that, we have 36 to 75, where we'll see the upcoming residential right on the, I would say, the east side of this particular development.
So a small tip to have for you guys also, that before you go into your booking day, go through an exercise with your agents, to go through the questions on, okay, let's say on that day, there is a higher floor, not so good facing, that is similarly priced as a lower floor, better facing. Which one would you pick? And then write all your priorities down. If let's say, this scenarios come out, which one is your choice? So that on that day, when such a scenario come out, you can just refer back to your notes or your iPad that you've already written down, right? And then it's very clear. Rather than on that day, you go and think, hey, should I go for the higher or the lower? So make sure you've done all this exercise throughout it.
Yeah, so it's like playing bingo. Like I say, playing bingo, because you go there, just striking off units that is very selected, and then the units will be yours. So it's always a very clear strategy, rather than going in and it's so many units and you'll be panicking.
Very kanchong. And everybody's going to be queuing, everybody's going to be picking a unit, right? And you'll be there for
those are the emotions. You need to know how to have a walkaway price.
Correct.
Okay. Oh yes, one more last stack we were saying. Stack 48. This was most likely the most expensive because it's facing towards the inside of the unit. So I guess it's something that I would say is much more premium in terms of facing. Right. So I saw some questions coming in. Okay, do ask us a question. We're more than happy to interact. Okay, I saw this question over here. Do you have a tropical detached house for sale aside from Serene Gardens Kerala house? Okay, so for Serene Gardens house, I most likely have seen the YouTube video. Okay, do inquire and talk to the broker, and we're more than happy to to share more because all inventory in GNA real estate is all shared equally. Yeah, so that's what we always do for our team culture. Okay, so do talk to the broker who have inquired for the Serangoon Gardens Kerala house. All right. Okay, so no other questions. Let's move on. Okay, so next up, we will analyze the 3-bedroom premium.
Yep.
Okay, so for layout wise, you can see is 1066 square feet. Okay, for across, the only difference lies actually at the foyer. Different shape, different sizes. Some have a wider entrance, and it comes in with a storeroom. Yeah, so all of the bathroom also have windows. Okay, and this is something that I would say is ideal for a 3-bedroom premium layout. Okay, and in terms of the other layouts, if you notice, it's really just at the foyer. So honestly, I would say in this case, the facing is more important.
Then there is this one very special unit at level 2, stack 81. Everybody's balcony, it's 7 square meters. Your balcony is cut a little bit by almost 2 square meters. So that's the one very lucky. So if you want your unique layout, right?
Layout, yeah.
Okay,
and it's all added to the it's all added to your maybe the foyer area for the space.
Yeah, so I think it's the way of the structure of the development where there's one particular unit that has so down to balcony space, right? As much as people say, sometimes big balcony, very wasted space, but we realize that the balcony, if it's big, you should be able to utilize it.
Yes.
On the ground, people rather have a balcony that they can utilize rather than like a neither here nor there balcony. So means it's not like you don't have a balcony. You still have a balcony, but it's so small that you can't really do anything. So that one really then becomes like a wasted space.
Yes, indeed. All right. So in terms of facing wise, okay, it's citing the cheapest to the most expensive. Likelihood, the cheapest one will be the 113 stack, which is right in front of bus interchange. Okay, followed by stack number 9, which is the residential entrance. Okay, right here coming in. Okay, then next up it will be stack number 16, which is the one facing towards the HDB, and stack 90. So concurrent, both of these face towards the HDB on your left over here. Okay, so and in terms of 68, I would guess this 168 will be the cheapest because it is inner facing towards the community plaza. Okay, it's quietest. Then followed by the rest is all mainly the pool facing units, which I would guess is the most ideal layout most ideal facing out all the layouts. Okay, and for 1076 square feet, the bigger unit, okay, the cheapest I would guess is 81 and 94, facing towards the upcoming residential in front. Okay, or potentially 63 or 54, that's facing inwards. Yeah, so that's something that could be the cheapest. Okay, then next up will be the one that's unblocked pool view, stack 76. And then last but not least, stack 29, which itself is right in front of a pool, but at least not next to a tennis court. So these are all prediction, but price may change. And from there, we need to really set a premium to see what is the right price to enter.
Correct. So it's like, if it's all the same price, which one would you have picked? If let's say this is more expensive, would you pick this one over the other one?
Yes, indeed. All right. So with this, okay, we are done for ParkTown. It's a lot. If we go 4-bedder, 5-bedder, it will take another 20 minutes. So if you have any questions on 4 and 5, do approach our brokers or our investment team. All right. So for this case, let's move on to Elta, okay, which is the unit selection layout comparison. This is more simple.
Nicole had a question.
Yes. Okay.
What is it?
So there's okay. No worries, we can cover later because it's half. Okay, there's a genetic in front of stack. Okay, so no worries. Later on, we will cover this question because the latest question is asked very interesting. It will be half.
Like he said, shown up.
Yeah. So we will. Okay, we see it. There is a genetic in front of stack 90. Genetic, will it affect the pricing?
So like, if you go back to the slide, right? It's actually stack. There is this 71.
Okay.
At the bottom, right? So likely, developer may price it. It really depends on them. So it could be like lower floors are being affected. But then sometimes when it goes to the higher floor, if the higher floors are not affected, they may not.
The premium may
there could
jump.
be a jump up a certain level once they feel like this stack or this floor level is no longer affected by that.
Yes, yeah. So after that jump, potentially that is when it may be the same as that of your normal pricing as other stacks, other units. All right. Okay, Jen said. Yes, genetic. Okay, thanks, Jen said. Yeah, so that's what the reply is. So regarding Jen said, nowadays, like rubbish chute is already underground.
All basement.
Yeah, genetics by itself is not a very, not genetics. So Jen said by itself, it's not a very big thing, but as what Grace mentioned, the first few floors may be affected, but subsequently, it may jump back to the premium that we're looking at. All right. So next up, let's run through that of Elta, which is the unit selection layout comparison. It's simpler because there's only 2 blocks, so not as
So once
intensive.
we're done with Elta, we'll also go back to what is the exit strategy for both ParkTown and Elta, and maybe we'll do a battle to see which one you
is
prefer.
better. Yeah, so from there we will come to a conclusion at the end of this session. So stay tuned to the end, then we will compare side by side. But of course, at the end of the day, we always run through that it's not really the development specific, but it's unique specific entry price. That is more important.
If you're looking just for investment.
For investment, yeah. So that's something that we'll cover a one-to-one session for investment consult. All right, so next, Elta, simple, 2 blocks, straightforward. And I like this kind of development because usually if very high rise. So there's a lot of ways we can do price staging. As long as you get the mid to lower floor, potentially it can
You
fetch
like it
a high
if you get a
returns.
good ballot number, right?
Yes, if you get a bad number and price is wrong, then
This
it's time to
kind,
walk
the
forward.
chances of getting a good unit, it's a little bit harder because
Yes.
for ParkTown, for example, or for EOK, for example, there are
Yes.
many stacks. So if let's say even if your ballot number is, and there are many units, so you get a lot of chances to get maybe a lower to mid floor if you want to get in a good entry price. But for
Yes.
developments like Elta or Ori, because they are very tall, if you missed out on the initial phase or the better ballot numbers, right,
Yes.
you will be setting a benchmark of prices for those at the bottom.
Yes, indeed. All right. So next up, let's run through the area. The area by itself actually very straightforward. Facing wise, there's one whole row that actually faces the AYE Expressway, and the other row actually faces to the inside, which is the school. So surrounding is all HDB enclave. We are quite well known for $1 million HDB. So there's something that we will be analyzing later on to compare the different facing. Okay, and one thing to take note is, later you can see there's one whole row that actually faces a slight angle for west sun. So that's something to take into consideration too. All right. So let's run through the different layout type. It's quite straightforward. 2 bed, 2 bath, 700 square feet. Okay, so we'll skip past the 1 and 1 plus study because it's something that we advise client, if you can go for a 2-bedder instead.
2 bed, 2 bath minimum.
Yeah, that is something that the ROU may be higher. Yeah, so one thing to take note in this area, 2 bed, 2 bath by itself, okay, most of the layout is similar. The only difference is at the foyer once again. One is, I would say, there's like a cabinet over here. The other one is just a longer foyer at the start. Yeah, and then the kitchen position is just, I would say, different, but similar, almost similar in size.
Both no windows.
Both no
and it's quite
windows.
common that you don't get any windows in 2 bed, 2 bath now.
Yes, yeah. So dumbbell layout, so it's quite efficient, functional. Okay, so let's take a look at the different stacks. So very interesting. One of the facing, okay, stack 14. Actually face outwards. Okay, so there's only one stack, very simple to choose. Lowest floor, the highest floor, and what we see is faces the AYE Expressway. Okay, and then there's one more stack, stack 3, that's facing inward.
Nanhua High.
Nanhua High.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of the pricing, we'll guess, of course, AY facing may be slightly cheaper as compared to that of the stack 03.
Correct. So in this way, there are 2 main facings, right? A hack to see what is the predetermined better facing from the developer is always go and look at what facing are the bigger unit types facing. So for example, what are the 4
Yes.
and 5 beta facing? Usually developer will term these facing as the better ones. That's why they always give the premium facing to the more expensive units. Similar to what you see at ParkTown. The 2 betas face the outside for some of the stacks, but 2 plus study all face the inside.
Yeah, so that's where they can charge higher and to show this value. And one thing to take note is that, okay, the one that is facing to expressway, okay, to add on this double whammy, there is actually a slight west sun, okay, which is, I would say, southwest facing. Yeah, so just take note, but in terms of the exit wise, we notice that we see other layout types and things like that. When we analyze data, right, the west side facing, sometimes you buy at a cheap price, and a premium for west side and AY facing is much cheaper than that of the inward facing. At a certain premium, you can actually earn more. So it's really based on this premium and how much is it. Yeah, so that's something that we discuss on a one-to-one for the investment unit selection. Okay, next up, we have the 2+ study. Yeah, so 2+ study by itself, okay, is slightly different in terms of cost. There is a study. And one more thing is that the dining area is slightly wider. Yeah, so at least there's more space. Okay, so in terms of the master bedroom also, 11.8 as compared to 10.8. So it's slightly bigger. Yeah, so of course, we have actually done even a case study about 2+ study or 2 bed, 2 bath. Is it better? Which one? Is it worth paying for the study and that premium? So there's something that we do factor in to consider. Hey, does it make sense to buy a 2+ study or 2-bedder? Yeah, but in terms of facing wise, I would guess they are quite, I would say, for a 2+ study, there's only one stack. The stack number 6, okay, which is 807 facing the AYE. So this one, they do it a little interestingly different. They decide to put the bigger facing and potentially make a lower PSF to counteract that of the inward facing.
Yeah, and the developer is very smart. So every time when you guys are looking at site plans, right, don't just see it from a site plan. Make sure you go down and look at the model because not everything is 2D. So
Correct.
on this site plan, we are looking at it, you will think that a lot of the stacks are facing the tennis court. But because of how the development is being built and it's slightly sloped up, right, and that the car park is actually multi-story, this tennis court is actually being sunk at the bottom. So actually the noise level is being covered up. So you're not really affected by the tennis court noise. Anyway, you already have the AYE in front of you. So they basically mix all the noise, the AYE noise with the multi-story car park, with the tennis court, with the pool, so that everything gets mixed up together. So all the noise activities are all gathered at one site.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So let's take a look at the 3-bedder, the compact layout 926, and the premium layout 1023 square feet. So for the difference is the additional study, and also is double as like a storeroom. And one of them is 2 units facing outwards and 1 facing inward for the compact layout. The others is the dumbbell layout facing. Yeah. So one thing to think, something interesting is that this study area is really like a flexi. They can in fact like a bifold door to actually convert this. If you want to convert a wet kitchen, it can be done, or dry kitchen can be done. So there's something that creates a flexibility. But one thing to think is that you see most of these walls are actually dark colored. So it's actually a PPVC kind of strata, kind of building. So PPVC, the downside of it, you cannot hack any of the walls over here. Yeah, so unless it's a tin colored wall that is reflected. So there's something to take note about this kind of building, this kind of building structure.
Yeah, so I think for developments that after area harmonization, one trend we are seeing is that layouts are starting to get better.
Yes.
Because developer have to sell at quite expensive per square feet, and if the layout is not good, the quantum becomes very expensive.
Yes.
So you'll notice that the layout, I personally feel is getting better and better. For example, Ori, I don't know how they really fit 850 square feet into a 3-bedder plus a storeroom.
Yes.
So you'll notice that the layouts are getting slightly smaller. But for ParkTown, I feel like based on a post-area harmonized project, their layout is slightly on the larger end.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, so even in that 1023 square feet, you can still do something like this. I think it's quite efficient. Yeah. So in terms of the facing, okay, good news, all of them face inside.
Either good news or bad news. Maybe you want to face the highway. Because
so
facing highway also means that you get the landed view. And some people see it as a plus point because that view will not change unless they shift the whole highway, which is highly impossible. So normally once you face the highway and let's say there's a landed view behind, the view is more or less fixed.
Correct. And landed, you can't do en bloc or you can't do any build up because it's very fixed a landed zone. So unlikely you have. So it's sometimes it counteracts and that gives
plus minus. Pros and cons.
Yeah, that's why sometimes it's much cheaper. Then the premium itself is actually worth considering the highway facing. So it's something that we'll do on a more deeper analysis for facing to determine what is a premium. Yeah. So from there you can see cheapest likelihood, of course, a smaller unit 926 got 2 stack. Okay, and they're all same face, so likelihood will be the similar price. And then stack number 2 is the one in the center with dumbbell layout. That is when faces to the inner facing. Yeah, so I would guess these are the more premium. Okay, and if you look at there are a few other layouts very interesting, which is the 4-bedder. Okay, 4-bedder, there are a total of 4 different types of layout, ranging from 4-bedroom, 4-bedroom premium, dual key, and then the extreme 4-bedroom plus study. Yeah, so for the 4-bedder, 1184 square feet, you can see very typical layout. 3 on one side, 1 towards facing the inside. Okay, we have a storeroom. Okay, we have I would say enclosed kitchen and a big size living area. Yeah, so one thing to take note is the living area to be huge is something that is a plus point. Whereas 4-bedder, they want to have a feel of like, wow, a big space so that we can enjoy the particular layout type. Okay, and for the 4-bedroom premium, okay, you see the difference. Okay, 1313, the additional square feet, right, lies in a few places. One is the junior master and the additional toilet over here. That adds into the premium layout. The living room is slightly bigger, 4 square meter bigger, and then the storeroom also bigger because maybe bigger premium need more space to store things. So that is the part that they have a bigger storage room. Yeah. So in terms of facing wise, if you break down the facing, okay, good news again. Okay, good and bad news. The good news is that 1184 likelihood they want to play for quantum, likelihood lower price. That's why they price it towards the AYE facing. And the one that is premium, people they don't pay premium, people they pay a premium for it. So likelihood they are facing inward so that they can charge a higher price. So this is something the developer had done in this way with stack 8 facing outwards and stack 12 facing inwards. All right. And next we have the 4-bedroom premium, even a bigger one. I would say dual key. Okay. Dual key layout, which is 1313 square feet. Okay, same size as a 4-bedroom premium but dual key. So you can see in terms of layout type, right, they actually put the 4th bedroom at the entrance. Okay, and it had 2 entrances. Dual key means you can rent out one while staying the other without invading privacy. And in terms of layout, interesting, a lot of dual key nowadays, right, 4-bedder, they tend to have a compact 3-bedder layout. Like the kitchen is not like enclosed, the kitchen is really at a walkway, so it becomes like not as easy to exit. But for this 4-bedder, one thing that we do trace, if the premium is the same, 4-bedroom dual key and 4-bedroom premium, potentially the 4-bedroom dual key, the layout, okay, because the living room size is still quite decent. Not too small until you can't even put an enclosed kitchen, but you have an enclosed kitchen as storeroom and something of a big living room. So in terms of the layout type, I would say it's comparable to 4-bedroom premium.
I think there was this period where dual key was very popular because the concept of, I have to pay APSD for a second property and, this extra space allows me to get rental income.
Yeah.
But I feel like as properties get more and more expensive, someone that can afford a 1313 square feet quantum in Clementi, right?
Yes.
Likely you wouldn't be, because last time concept is to use that to cover the mortgage.
Yep.
But now to rent out the studio, the person that has the ability to actually buy this quantum, likely, I'm not saying for all cases, right? But likely they may not need that rental.
Correct.
So that's when you rather have like a normal 4-bedroom. So when you buy into a for investment, you also need to know what is your buyer profile in this area when you want to exit also.
Yes, indeed. So in this case, definitely the 4-bedroom premium will actually be much more popular as compared to 4-bedroom plus dual key. But one thing is that why usually dual key end up not selling as well is also the price premium, because dual key they think that you can rent out, so they'll charge like 200, 300, 400k, and that premium at the end of the day when you sell in the resale market, a lot of people end up
They
saying,
don't see it.
They see it as a 4-bedroom premium price.
Correct.
So there's something that unless the price is the same, maybe I may look into it, but the price premium is so huge at the end of the day, it may not be worth the additional premium. So that premium is very important. And say how much premium are you going to pay for the dual key factor?
Correct. So a good example, if you want to go and take a look at an interesting development, it's called Gem Residence.
Yes.
So you can see Gem Residence, their normal 3-bedder, it's the demand is very high. If that unit comes up, right, it's snapped up. But the 3-bedder that is a triple key is going to be stuck for a long time. So if you're milking a rental, it's perfect. But if you want to exit for capital appreciation, very, very hard to exit.
Yes, liquidity will be an issue. But once again, compared to layout type, that's very important. The last but not least is that the 4-bedroom plus study itself is the biggest, 1507 square feet. Why they make it so big? If we look at, we have our video is coming out very soon. We're launching, in fact, tomorrow because of the backlog of all the investment video I've done. So there's something they noticed. People in Clementi, they do have the buying power. So the developer knows and say, big floor plate, yes, I think there will be people who are willing to consider. So they have this kind of layout, and the additional space lies in the study area, which is interestingly more like an additional storeroom, a small study over here, and also a bigger master bedroom, along with a wider living area, 51.7 square meter. Yeah, so there's something to take note about this floor plan. Okay, so in terms of the prices, likelihood, both of them face towards the AYE, unblocked landed. So you can see some developers sort of know, they say even if I'm willing to pay a premium, maybe the PSL lower, but I will weigh off in terms of the total price. What we see over here, both of them actually faces towards the AYE. Yeah, so the PSL when we say cheaper as compared to that of the 1313 that's facing towards the inner facing. All right. So with this, okay, we have done for unit selection. I hope that we want it to be short and sharp so that you can get as much value as you can. Or else this if you go in detail, it can be 2 to 3 hours. We analyze every single layout. So with this, right, let's move to part 2. Okay, so part 2 itself is an exit strategy.
Correct.
So once again, if you'd like to find out more about how do we analyze property, okay, do scan the QR code right below or contact any of your dream broker is working with you. Do contact them. We always refer you back to them so that we'll be able to value add in terms of our team as a whole.
Correct.
All right. So next up, let's run through exit strategy.
Which one should you buy?
Yes, and what exactly is the game plan when it comes to exiting?
This east side, west side, or is it a west side, west side?
Yeah, east or west. Okay, so literally more. Okay, maybe let's key in the chat box over below.
Who is a eastie?
Who is a eastie over here?
And who is a westie?
Who is a westie?
I'm a westie.
So yeah, westie. I actually prefer central. Okay. So
that's why you bought RE.
Yes, yeah, more Toa Payoh central. Yeah, so okay. Eastie besties. Okay, Eastie or westies?
Bestie.
Easties or west, regardless, it's actually more back to about entry price. Okay, so with this, let's run through the exit strategy for each and see which one is more sound. Okay,
Right.
So first up, ParkTown. Okay, Grace, can you bring us through?
So I think for ParkTown, we want to know what is the upcoming prices, right? Is there any upcoming plots? So of course we know that there are few residential plots that is near ParkTown, but if you're talking about immediate ones that has already been bidded, it's going to be slightly down to Tampines West. So interestingly, at Tampines North, you have one integrated and you have one EC that's coming up. Tampines West, similarly, you have another integrated and then you will have another EC that's coming up.
Yes.
And you'll notice that Tampines West side for both plots, they are being bidded about 1 year later. So you'll see Tampines North, right? They were being bidded in 2023 and Tampines West was done last year. That has been concluded and you'll see the increase in pricing. So you can kind of already tell how much they will actually be launching because when Tampines North break even is about 1,006 plus, you see that their starting from is close to 2,003, 22 plus. So meaning Tampines West, if your break even is 1,008, you can just go and calculate to see imagine how much they will launch, let's say maybe a year later.
So one thing that people always tend to make a mistake is that you look at 1,006, wow, so cheap. Then they will add a 20% above the break even. But take note, okay, something we covered in our ParkTown video, so do go and watch it. And you realize that this break even by itself is actually not the most accurate because it does not include you should need minus the commercial area and only take the residential component. So the actual break-even is actually much higher, 2,000, close to 2,001 in fact. Yeah, so there's something you need to do it for Tampines West because it's integrated.
Correct. So I'll say the saving grace here is that, you have an upcoming plot and you know that they will be selling more expensive because developers are business people, so they also won't go and sell it at a loss. If not, they must well just don't develop the development already. So this is something that you know that if you're entering at this price point, there is a certain upcoming benchmark. But we also want to know, see what is the resale in this area because they are also going to be your competitions. So we also look at the resale prices both in Tampines area as well as in Clementi area. Okay, so for this area itself, the Tampines North is a relatively new area. There's not many developments around because it's like a last time Punggol, haven't really developed. So you can either take somewhere closer to Tampines Central, which is City Life and Tampines Trillion, both at EC that has already MOP. If not, you go further up to closer to where Pasir Ris is. That's where you have your D-Nest and Coco Palms. So you look at these four developments ranging from about 10 to 14 years age gap if you calculate based on 2029 when ParkTown is actually going to TOP. Okay?
Yep.
So we look at their per square feet, they range from about 1,004 to about 1,660. So just remember this pricing. Remember this pricing compared to, let's say, I would think that ParkTown will averagely be about 2,400 because your starting is really close to about 2,003, 2,002 plus, right? So I would say averagely you'll be about 2,400. And then you're comparing that with about, let's say, 1,005 in your resale. Later, you'll see how Elta and Clementi also compare.
Yes, so one thing we trace frequently is this gap because this gap itself will actually determine how much the new launch will appreciate, how much resale will appreciate. If the price is very close, then it does give a buffer for new launch to appreciate much more. But if it doesn't, it may sometimes be like gravity, say, will pull down the price at times and doesn't allow you to appreciate as much because people will compare to the resale around. So this is something that we trace on a more one-to-one basis. What exactly is the gap we need to look at in order to make sure that the new launch can appreciate much more. All right. So I saw one question, nice, Celine. So why not take Treasure and Tampines to compare? So Treasure and Tampines is one element that we're looking at, but we say in terms of the proximity to this area and something that is more towards the same development size of about the 2 km radius, this is something that I would say is much more. But even Treasure Tampines, it will be 1,007, 1,008. The gap itself sometimes at the end of the day, it may not be as close enough. If we compare to Elta, we'll see later on, to have that buffer to allow a new launch to appreciate much. So right now, the only benchmark really you want to look at for Tampines West is to Tampines ParkTown is to benchmark against Tampines West.
Tampines West much higher.
Yes.
So those that bought in the Tampines North will have a new benchmark prices.
Yes, indeed. All right. So in terms of average 3-bedder quantum, you can see the price itself for 3-bedder, okay, D-Nest, Coco Palm, Trillion, City Life, even at Treasure Tampines, back to the same, which if you factor that in, there's other comparison that if you want to add it in, what we see is the average quantum is 1.5, 1.6 as compared to about 2.1, 2.2. That itself, there's a buffer, there's a gap that you can. So once again, the exit strategy is always a little different for ParkTown as compared to that of Elta.
Because you also must understand that it wouldn't be a fair apple-to-apple comparison because ParkTown is going to be an integrated development.
Yes, correct.
So the connectivity they are going to be getting is very different from all the resales that we're going to be seeing that we listed here. Let's say whether it's a Treasure that's not near the MRT, City Life, Trillion, Coco Palms, they are not integrated. So connectivity-wise, yes, you are losing in terms of the convenience. But again, you just want to see if I lack this convenience, what is a premium that I'm paying in today's market?
Yeah. So from this, actually, we can evaluate what is the intrinsic value of ParkTown and the walkaway price. Because all these factors, yes, it's lower, the gap is wider, but the gap is wider. But if you factor all these things in, you will be able to derive what exactly ParkTown should enter at, such that it's still within the safe entry price to enter, and subsequently still can make a profit margin when Tampines West is launched. So that's why for us, right, it's always not about whether a device is good or not. It's based on a better number, how lucky you are. At the same time, is there a walkaway price we have to stay and stick close to so that we won't end up losing money not gaining as much as what we expected.
Yep.
All right. So next up, let's compare the exit strategy for Elta.
West side.
West side, best side. Okay, so Westy by Easty best side. Yes. Okay, so let's run through for Elta. So Elta, one of the key things to take note is that there is no land bids that come out right nearby.
Yep.
So the key thing over here when we analyze property is then we look back at the resale. Where does it fall to? Yeah. So in the area, there are a total of 4 developments: Clement Canopy, Trilene, Park Clementes, and Clavon. So this is the prices that we will be benchmarking against and the quantum to see where exactly is how does it fare when compared to all this resale.
Correct. An interesting thing about Clementi area is that if you were to go and track all these developments, right, all of them actually perform very well. In fact, we had a client that entered into a 4 beta and the unit made about 900 plus K within the exit period of 1 cycle upon TOP, right? So it's a very interesting area where it's an OCR, but it's not really commanding OCR prices. So it's like Jurong East is OCR, but the prices definitely is not OCR prices. And with such high prices, then you just want to make sure that, if you're entering over the average of OCR, is there still room for profitability? And when we track back to, let's say, Clement Canopy, Park Clementes, and Clavon, interestingly, they actually all overpaid upon at launch. And that's something that, at least it gives us the confidence that over different time periods as well as different developments, people overpay and they still make. So it just shows that, okay, it's okay to pay slightly higher for this area because people just view it a little bit differently as compared to, let's say, Jurong West, for example.
Correct. Yes. So this is coming out in our upcoming video for Elta.
Yes.
So stay tuned to watch it. If not, you can approach our brokers and have a conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So in terms of PSF wise, you can see a lot of them for Clavon already hit 2001. It's side by side next to your Elta. Okay. Then after that, you have your Park Clementes also in 2001. And others like Trilene and Clement Canopy 2009 to 2008. Yeah, so these are the older developments that hit 2008, 2009, but those at 2001 is already achieved in this area. So one to take note is Park Clementes and Clavon is under pre-area harmonization.
Yep.
They include aircon latch to calculate the PSF. But Clavon, the launch price actually does not include the aircon latch.
Yes, so same for ParkTown as well as the resale that we compared just now.
Yes, so that's something that for PSF wise, we need to factor that in to compare. Okay, and with this, right, what we notice is that most of the 3-bedroom, in terms of PSF wise, so back to the previous slide, is that if you factor in the area harmonization minus of add in the aircon latch, you divide, what we notice is ParkTown we launched about 2.1 to 2.2. So it's very close to the resale pricing. And that is when we notice in past case study, this does give a buffer. And some of the resale pricing, if you look at the 4 beta especially, at this particular development, is actually selling cheaper than that of the resale in the same area. So with this, okay, we did factor in quantum, this average for 3 beta. We are done for 2 and the 4 beta. One notice is that the premium when it comes to for Clavon, 2.1 plus million, is actually pretty close to the quantum of that of your 3 beta starting from price and also some of the walkaway prices that we set, the kind of a 3 beta. And that is when this gives a buffer for the new launch to be able to justify the higher sale price when it comes to TOP.
So when we compare in general ParkTown versus Elta, the resale price cap in Clementi, from what we see, it's slightly smaller as compared to ParkTown. Because in Tampines area, Tampines North first thing, to be fair, it's a very new area, so you don't have much comparison. It's not a very mature area also. But I'll be a little bit worried in terms of the pricing. So make sure that your unit selection is done properly, that you don't overpay. Because it's a new area, you're already above the average for OCR, especially in the area.
Yes, indeed. And for Elta, I would say, of course, there's no new land coming up, but there is always a safety net of the resale, which we have done past case study to analyze these particular trends before. All right. And then one thing that is commonly mentioned, okay, there is transformation. Does it matter in ParkTown? ParkTown is the Chinese district, Terminal 5, or everything coming out. The East is developing lots of things, new estate. Does it help to push up the price? So there's something that we want to have a quick discussion, because in terms of the East, there are a lot of things coming out. Tampines North, which is where ParkTown is, there will be a new HDB estate near to IKEA. Right? There's this entire business area that is already in midst of developing. And then if you go down to the Changi Business Park, that's something that is a very upcoming thing that is people have been talking about it again and again along Terminal 5. So let's take a look at whether this really matters. Okay, but one thing to take note, here's something once we have been looking at this data and want to say the truth. So what we have researched a bit deeper is that yes, like your this Changi Business Park seems to be an upcoming thing, a very new thing that people are hyping about. But take note that recently, because of more business park that's forming in Singapore, the vacancy rate of Changi Business Park has actually been increasing. And now, last time from 20%, it went up to 40%. So it's something that it may be upcoming place, and we need to look into a 3 to 4 years plan. But this transformation, I won't say is a very amazing, something that life-changing, but one that we have to take into account that the transformation, does it really matter or does it not matter? We can actually look at a particular case study. A very quick one is we trace back to this very familiar place, okay, which is a place at West Coast area, okay, where you have Twinview, Windsor Grand, and Park Rivera. So why we're looking at this place? Because then you were talking about the HSR, the high-speed rail. It's coming into this area, west area. Things are connected to this entire west side area.
That was one of the reasons why a lot of people actually bought into this area at that time.
Yes, indeed. And what happened is after that, okay, there was a period that, they decided to stop HSR. So it's on, off. So sometimes transformation for us, right, we don't bank a lot on it. It's a bonus factor.
Because it's not certain. Things can change in terms of transformation. And sometimes transformation is very far out.
Yes, and it sometimes could be 15-year plan, 10-year, 15-year plan. And a lot of people selling right now is really selling a future value, which is not worth buying into. So what we noticed that it's more important to take note, okay, while looking at transformation is end of the day, right? Yes, it cancelled, but in the end, the property price went up in 2023. Although it cancelled, it still went up. Okay, for Park Rivera, went up 33.29%. The others that I would say Windsor Grand, TeamView 21% to 27%. So it still went up despite the fact of it having no transformation. So we found out conclusion that we realized that the key factor that we have to look at is actually looking at entry price that's more important than transformation. Yeah, so there's something that we will discover more and have more case study when we come to a one-to-one consultation. Okay, so with this, okay, very interesting. Okay, we have this particular segment. Is that we notice that there's a lot of people looking into ParkTown, into Elta, but end of the day, in this market today, okay, when people are looking at something that's very popular, there could be other deals that's hidden, that's within, I would say, other projects that could have launched or could be launching that potentially have higher potential. Yeah, so if you don't get a good bad number for Elta and ParkTown, the key thing is...
You don't need to rush into buying a unit just because, the better units are being taken up. There are still opportunities that are coming up this year, and there are a lot of developments that are coming up. The entry price may make a lot more sense if, let's say, you don't get a good bad number for Elta and ParkTown.
Yes, indeed. So this, where we cover in part 3, then how do we source for this hidden gem? So you want to find out for this hidden gem, we have the whole inventory with our J&A team, so do let them know. But with this, let's jump into it, some of the key metrics that we actually look into. So we're showing 2 main ones, okay? And the first one we look at is land beats. So with this example, the very famous one that we usually like to use is this example, Park Botania and Hyde Park Residence. So if you know this location is a place that is really off the way, it's not a good location or next to Thanggam LRT.
It's definitely not a development like ParkTown or Elta that's going to be very hyped on launch day.
Yes, and back then, similar timing, there could be other development like Watertown that was very, at Punggol, new great development that was very, very popular.
Yes.
People were buying 50% sold on the first day, and people were like looking at it at the transformation story, same thing at Punggol District. So back then there was this development called Hyde Park Residence, and Hyde Park Residence, if you notice, okay, they launched at about close to 900 per square feet, 800 per square feet. Okay, and what we noticed is next land bid that came out was Park Botania. Okay, so the land bid they bid was actually higher. Break-even was 953 per square feet as compared to Hyde Park, which was bought, break-even was about 887 per square feet on average. What we noticed at the end of the day is because of the higher land bids, okay, or the new launch that is of the higher price, benchmark price, it sets the new benchmark at the area at 1,003 to 1,004. So naturally, what happened to Hyde Park is in the 3 to 4 years, it went up to 1,003 to 1,004. And this allowed it to appreciate about 33% upon TOP to match the price because it's just 2 years apart.
Yeah.
So in terms of this particular trends, if you can find any of the launches in the market, okay, that is priced way below that of what is a new launch that's coming up right opposite or nearby within the 4 km radius, this is when potentially you can find good deals in the market that potentially can outperform that of a project that could be over popular and you don't get a good better number. So this is a very different strategy that we are employing, and we found a lot of good deals in the market. Not a lot.
Sometimes
I would say,
even
a few
post-launches. The units make sense in terms of pricing. It's just that nobody's really looking at it because I don't know, Singaporeans just love the hype.
Yes, like balloting,
Yeah,
like
they like to
queuing
go
for
balloting,
things.
they like to go and try. Okay, we got a question. General recruiting. Yes, we are. So if you want to get in contact, you can also contact any of the leaders that brought you in here. You can also scan our QR code.
Yeah, let us know. All right. So this reminds me of something very interesting. It's called by Warren Buffett. Recently, fun fact, you read out Warren Buffett news, I'm tracing a lot of stock market and cash out quite a bit of my stocks. And what happened was that he was sharing that this season he's actually cashing out a lot of cash and holding on to something. And this is something that Warren Buffett always say, be greedy when people are fearful, be fearful when people are greedy. And that's something I employ in investment philosophy because we know that data that is analyzed will review trends and things that in the market people have been saying that is not reflected what market is thinking. Okay. In other words, right, when people are greedy, going to certain places and paying for a high premium, we look at deals that are off market, that are not in the hype, but something that has value. That later in 3 years' time, because of the data they analyze that people don't know, we have first mover advantage to be able to value add to them and allow the property to make money. Yeah, so it's something that is a very interesting data-driven approach rather than one that is a hype approach.
Yeah.
So with this, let's move on to the factor number 2. Okay, this is something that we do analyze the entire market, and when we start to notice all these trends, realize that it's very important to always look at the whole market for investment in the whole Singapore rather than simply just, okay, where the market goes, this is a good project, everyone's saying it's good, we go. Yeah, so what we see over here, we analyze, very interesting. Okay, so this is something that we have been analyzing again and again. We notice things like this, that if you compare the question that clients will ask us, should we get a 1 beta, 2 beta, 3 beta, 4 beta, or should we get a 1 beta at CCR versus a 4 beta at OCR? And 4 beta OCR, is it too expensive? People don't dare to buy, end up they don't make money. So these are questions they ask, but when analyzed accordingly, you notice something very interesting. We broke down 2 different districts. And this some case I've done D9 and D10, okay, versus the OCR area, okay, which is entire OCR. So we can, back then in 2014, for example, we can either buy a 1 beta or 2 beta at D9, D10, or equivalent of a 3 beta OCR or 4 beta OCR. And we noticed one thing very interesting, that the 1 beta, which is something that's why we are quite, after analyzing a lot, we are quite fearful 1 beta in general. The 1 beta tend to not be able to make as much, 6.78%, because the demand is not high and units are small. 2 beta is, I would say, subpar 32, but the one that outperform all.
Yeah.
It's a 3 beta at OCR and a 4 beta OCR.
Correct. So you even see the take-up rates being reflective when you look at how developments are being taken up, right? You can look at new launches. Last time, it's the 1 beta.
Yes.
Because it's very cheap, and from an investment point of view, these are the ones that move first. But now you'll notice that it suddenly become the 3 betas. So the focus in the market is very different because buyers are being educated in the market. So they also know that A1 betas, everybody has been talking about it, it's harder to exit because the demand is not as strong as, let's say, own state buyers for 3 betas. And that's why new launches, they don't move as fast anymore. That's why you see already the ones that are left behind are the 1 beta.
1 beta. Yeah, even for like Emerald Carton. Yeah. And if you go back into the past, okay, so basically you have 2 case studies. There's something that people are always been comparing to the market. What will you buy? So back then in 2012, okay, you have bought either this place called Zenith, okay, Zenith at Zion Road, okay, I would say Tanglin, D10.
Yes.
Freehold, okay, and what we see over here is 2012, 950K. Okay, for a 474 square feet 1 beta, 560 a bigger 1 plus 1.08 million. When we sell it later on 10 years on the road,
still 950K.
Still 950 and 1.18. And this is something that we see a common trend across the market as compared to if you were to buy into a 3 beta back then, okay, at OCR, which is this place, for example, called River Sound, exactly the same time, you can buy a 1 million, back then for the 3 beta, or 1.03 million for the 3 billion premium. Okay, for 3 billion premium. What we see later on, it appreciated by 400k to 500k to 1.4 to 1.5. So notice one thing in the whole market. What we notice is that a lot of people are generally looking at the bigger bedroom size that potentially can make more as compared to that of a boutique or 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom within the CCR market. Yeah, so this is one thing that we do trace, and for every single market, using this method, we actually managed to find a lot of interesting deals in the market. Where, for example, if right now I can find an RCR property at an OCR price, same price, and potentially this particular gap allow us to make a more informed choice of where to find the good deals. Right? And last but not least is in terms of the past 5 years, similarly, it has been consistent. In fact, the D9, D10, CCR market, 1 beta, 2 beta, did not make as much. Okay, 9+%. OCR actually made 40% each. So this is some things that we see the market demand where it's heading towards. Yeah. And if you were to trace last few case study, a 2 beta, back then, in 2021. Okay, so this is a recent market. So we are looking at what we are looking at recently. 2021. Where you can buy a 1.4 million at the 2-bed, 2-bath, 657 square feet at River Valley. I would say big development, 201 units, okay? And basically, after 3 years down the road, it was still going at 1.468. Yeah, so the appreciation value after 3 years is not as great. And this resale, where people say freehold resale is cheap. But then a lot of the resale maybe was very cheap, they make money. But then right now, what we are seeing today is that, for this case study, Treasure Tampines, okay, if you buy back then, you can have bought Treasure, 3 beta at 1.4 million, and today, letting go at close to 1.5 million if you buy 1.2, and for a premium unit, 1.4 million, you can exit at close to 1.8, and about 400k difference. So these are things that we notice in the market that what we see is the entire demand is heading more towards the 3 beta OCR rather than the 2 beta in CCR. Even.
Correct. And a common question that comes out in the market is that now with the OCR prices and RCR increasing, the gap is getting very close to the CCR.
Yes.
Should you then consider the CCR, right? If you go and notice the CCR market, even if you are talking about 3 to 4 years back, there was the gap between certain CCR resale as well as, let's say, new launches in OCR wasn't very wide also. But if you trace it to today, 3-4 years, while OCR market has all gone up, CCR prices in the resale have been very stagnant. And one thing you'll notice about CCR, right, is a very huge price gap between the new launches and the resale, because you must understand the profile of buyers in CCR. They're usually foreigners, and foreigners tend to like to buy brand new properties. So the resale market there, they don't really exit to foreigners because foreigners don't like to buy second hand for people that can afford to buy in the CCR. And that's why the CCR prices don't really move in the resale, because it's a demand problem in the area.
Yes, indeed. So that's something that we also trace. And when it's a breaking point, that's something that we'll discuss in the future webinar. And meanwhile, you can see for 4 beta, they make the most, where clients of ours who have bought into this development make about close to 600 plus K.
Yep.
And that is when we see that even the 4 beta, people always worry, hey, the 4 beta is on the higher side. How can they exit? We always think that prices are higher. So from there, we have to analyze what exactly is the exit in terms of the resale and what is affordable people there to see how can we be able to exit at the price we want to exit. So that's something that we can discuss. Okay, with this, okay, the key structure factor 3, the last thing that we have traced very carefully, and we're tracing almost every single quarter, is this new launch versus resale. We see what exactly is the price we should enter by looking at the resale and the gap between the resale and new launch to determine what is intrinsic value for the new launch to analyze. So this is something that is something our investment team and also JNE Real Estate Brokers have been trained again and again. And from there, our investment strategy have matured to look at what is the right intrinsic price to enter. And it's not just about sentiment, like things that, hey, I can make money, or transformation, near MRT, whatever will make money. 2001, how do you determine that, hey, it will rise 2004? How do you get 2004 that's so accurate? But we have a valuation matrix to determine what is the intrinsic value and what is the exit price that we're looking at for the sale. So with this, right, it comes to our last part, okay, the bonus segment, which is, I think, what many people may want to hear. What exactly is an investment strategy this season? In fact, I just deployed this buy strategy just 1 month ago, so it's very fresh from the oven. Yeah. So this is something that we want to share a bit of our story of how exactly do we invest in property right now and where's the market heading? Unlike 3 years ago, the strategy is very different from today. It's always updated and we are always being in the market to trace where exactly is the good deals. Yeah. So with this, okay, let's share a very short story about how for Grace, myself, and Jervis, currently total million assets owned is about 25 million. Okay, so that's something that we have been analyzing property again and again and buying into it. Yeah, so with this, let's start with first story where here's Jervis. Okay, so Jervis by himself, his first property he bought, okay, was this place called Twin View Condo at 2018. So if you know his story, how he actually bought into this place was when, like in prop next, they say, wow, this is a good buy or transformation. Then he went in to buy. Okay, decent. He made about 200K. Netting off all the costing, I would say is a decent return. Still a double-digit kind of percentage returns. And this thing actually caused him to start his first journey for real estate investment. But he realized that while the idea of transformation, what the agency is saying is good buy, it may not always represent the best interest of the consumer, because entry price is always say, you go higher and higher, higher. But where do you determine what is the right price to enter? So that's when we started to go deeper into research for investment and go very deep. And the second time he bought Mayor Mansion, things were different.
Yeah.
That was when our investment team had been trashing things out for the past now it's 6-7 years already. And from there we noticed that the key thing is enter is entry price. So how we entered Mayor Mansion was also very different. What he did was, instead of just going, wow, Mayor Mansion is good, wow, luxury, Mayor Mansion, very prestige location, people love it, sentiments. What we did very interestingly was to trace what exactly is the launches in the market. Back then, there was this condo that was launched called Live MB. Very popular, was like 90+% that kind of range sold out on the first day. And they are 99 year at a prestige location at Alta Road. So back then, the PSA they were launching was 24, 25, then went out 26, 27, 28, and that's 99. And when you look at Mayor Mansion, you notice, the PSA back then, if you net off everything, is about 2627 freehold. I get Mayor, which is even more prestige at Mayor area as compared to Live at MB. So that's when it entered. So it was more calculated rather than just going in as a hype.
So it's also not true to say that freehold don't make money. I think there is this misconception in the market that, a lot of people say that freehold properties don't make as much as leasehold. To a certain extent, why this is true in the past is because last time people value freehold a lot. So when developer actually price freehold at a much higher premium than leasehold, people are willing to pay. So the fact that they went in much, much higher than leasehold was that the entry price was already wrong. That's why it then had this spiral factor of, a lot of freehold developments don't make money. The whole market then thinks that, it's a freehold leasehold kind of problem.
Yes.
But really, if you give someone the same characteristics property, one freehold and one leasehold, and it's the same price, people generally still go towards the freehold because it just does have that higher value.
Correct. So at the end of the day, it's back to entry price, like what price to enter. That's why today, the property you just check the valuation is about 4.6. So if you have any 5 million buyer, let us know. Yeah, so there's something that the beauty of real estate is.
Help Jervis offload his house here.
Yes. Yeah. So next step, he's heading towards a landed. So this is the asset progression you're heading into. And in terms of the PSF, last transacted, just last year, October, the 3-bedder 1109 already hit 3,164 per square feet. He bought a 1,399 square feet, currently non-transacted, but you can see even the bigger 4-bedder, also about 5.18 million. People are willing to pay that kind of premium right now. Yeah. And another second case study for himself, he also invested this unit called Lentor Mansion, a 3-bedder back then upon launch day. So the rationale why he did that is to steward wealth better and invested under his wife, Penny. Yeah, so they look happy. Yeah, and the lawyer look, I would say, decent. Okay, so for him, why he entered in this condo is because what he did, he wanted to diversify and enter into a portfolio such that it will be able to compound a 3 years time frame of a wealth growth. So highest ROE in the 3 years time frame. So it's entered in this. And today, where it is at, it was 1.93 million. And subsequently, if you look at today, at this place called Hillock Green, the 3-bedroom, which is a 947 square feet, has already transacted at 2.22 million. And if you look at the one at the layout, this 3-bedder is 947, but it doesn't include any storage. But meanwhile, what he bought back then, over here, with a storage room, is 1.977 million. Although it's smaller, 904, but take note, this is before area harmonized. This is before area harmonized. His is bought after area harmonized. So in fact, this itself already had its price growth to about 2.2 million. And if you want to compare to that, those with a storeroom at Hillock Green, people are willing to transact at close to 2.468 million. So this is data that we trace and have been proven track again and again that it was proven right. So that's when we want to transit into this phase. All right. So next up, me Grace, I'd like to share your story.
Yeah, okay. I think so personally for myself, I also bought into Lentor Mansion, which is a 4-beta. And why go for such a big unit? Because we also saw in the area that there's a lot of developments that's coming out. So there was a lot of people that were very fearful in terms of the supply. But what we realized is that, the demand in this area is very strong. And if you were to go to Property Guru, you're going to search up the surrounding resale. If you have to look for a 4-beta, the quantum there is very high because there is essentially nobody that's selling.
Correct.
So we realized that, people that buy into 2-beta and 3-beta, yes, they do upgrade. But Singaporean family, let's say, normally 2 to 3 kids, once you hit a 4-beta, you're kind of happy in that unit size and you don't really move for the next maybe 10 years. So that's why you realize that not many, a lot of people that want to buy into it, but there is not much supply in the market. And then of course we saw that, the resale over there, that's Panorama, that's close to 10 years age gap in difference, was at close to 2.62 million. So the price gap between a new launch and a resale in this area was very, very, very close. And that's why a lot of clients that we got to, that we asked them to enter, we entered the same development as them in the end also.
Yes, indeed. So for us, we really walk the talk. But the key thing over here is that when we analyze data, this is what we call first mover advantage, because we have data that the market may not have, and we analyze deeper into the data. So when market say, wow, too many supply, so you cannot buy, and all these things, right? We realize that this is what we call market noise. A lot of things that is like, say, that's why the price can be cheap. But when we uncover the details and we really go down the number, we walk the ground, we analyze multiple details about what exactly is supply and demand area, we found different things that it doesn't reflect what the market is. So this creates this thing called arbitrage, where you buy low when market is fearful, and when you sell in the open market 3 years down the road, that is when it does not reflect the same kind of sentiments as it is today. Yeah, so this is something that we are very thankful for, and with this, that will allow us to decide what exactly is the exit price you're looking at. Okay, and for myself, this is some updates that we have done. So over the years, for me, if you trace back to about 5 years ago when I first started real estate investing, it started from a heart to want to figure out what is the best way to allow my parents to retire. Back then, actually, my dad went through a series of financial difficulties, financial trouble, into very deep debts. And my mom was also a housewife, so things were trying to make ends meet. So when I went to real estate itself, if you heard of some of my story back then, what caused my parents to go through this kind of debt was because of a real estate agent who may not have done the best for them. And that made me realize that if they have done something differently, life could have changed. So when I entered into real estate investment, I was very focused on what exactly is objective truth and keep refining the investment process. And from there on, if I start my first real estate journey, it's something that I went to a course, learned, and that's when I started applying more. And when I first bought in the first property in Marina One, there was also a learning lesson they were shared another day. And what happened was that rental at 4.5% rental, good rental, but the appreciation value may not gain as much as we want to. Yeah, but the key thing over here is from there we learn about this thing called quantum analysis, what exactly the right content enter, demand supply analysis, and there we recycle, and that's when I learned. And I recycled and recently invested into a 4-beta new launch. So this strategy itself, right, a new launch, it's not because we just say, oh, a new launch can buy, can make money. There's also a reason behind. We'll share in a while. And if you look at the other properties that we bought, my mom bought, helping my mom to buy into this unit, they actually operated at 37%, sold it off, reinvested to a high rental property for retirement. Third one was actually bought under my wife for own stay. Okay, currently it's already appreciated about 28.9% based on last offer that came in and in midst of negotiation. Then we have fourth property recently bought just last year, where to honor my dad, to retire him with a high rental property and like a dual key unit. So for the third property, fourth property, we see a lot of this, the strategy that we employ is a bit different. We will share later on if this situation was there a better way to invest later on. And this itself allowed my parents to safely retire with a passive income. Okay. And the fifth one, we co-invested with my sister. That's something for high growth property. So this is something that is just all done in the past 1-2 years. So there's something that is very recent, and we are employing this strategy. We should share in a while. What is that particular strategy?
So there's a question on our balanced units at Lentor Bench. I think the balanced 4 bedrooms are patio units. The non-patio are also usually patio units. For investment, the liquidity may take slightly longer. So it's not true that patio they don't make money. It's just that when it comes to exiting, you are exiting to a very niche group of buyers.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So with this, the key thing is at the end of the day, it's the entry price and comparing to what exactly is the exit price. Yeah. And then last but not least, commercial property. There's something that is a very big topic. People are asking me along the way is mainly towards high rental yield. And back then, why we did this for myself is this. I always wanted to give like a passive income so that we can retire my parents in a sense of they don't have to worry about money, and also at the same time create like a cash flow in terms of real estate. But what I noticed overall, the 35.57% growth per annum kind of compounded returns, later I run through, majority actually didn't come from rental, which is very interesting. So from there on, if you were to look at where we are buying right now, recently, I just yesterday, in fact, exercised a unit already at this place called Ori. Yeah, it's a 4-bedder. Yeah, and why we enter into this project, very interestingly, in fact, we were comparing, should we buy into a landed back then? The school of thought, and the capital to put into landed, I would say is much higher. Interest is much higher. So when you calculate ROI, maybe you can get about 4 to 4.5 to 5 million, that kind of quantum.
Yep.
But returns at ROI, because of the high interest rate and also the cost that's put in and not having a good renter, when you compare that to just investing something cheaper at a 4-bedder elsewhere, the returns of this kind of launches potentially can be higher. Yeah, so there's some things that we analyze, and one thing that we'll be employing very frequently is this resale versus new launch kind of strategy. We notice that where the market is heading today, if you really go deep and look at all the inventory in the market, you notice that a lot of the resale property today, that's like 10 to 15 years old, they have been appreciating like 30 to 40% for the past 3 years. So 3 years ago, a lot of clients bought in the resale. There's something that because we noticed the gap was very wide. But today, a lot of them have appreciated such that the gap had closed up. And not just that, a lot of this resale property, for example, the Ori that I bought at, it's about 3 million. The surrounding resale called Travista, it was actually going at 3.18 million transacted. People only buy it, and it's a 16-year property. So these kind of trends that we notice in the market, and we are catching very, very effectively, along with past case study proven that it had worked in order to help our clients pick the best deal in the market. Yeah, so with this, I hope that it gives a perspective of where the market is heading. And a strategy that we employ is something that is very real that we ourselves are going into. Yeah, so with this, okay, we will run through the last part, which is ParkTown Elta, which is better. But before that, to end this off, okay, our investment strategy, I think that what work for us may not work for other people. So it's really based on the phase in your life. What is your I would say your priority right now?
Yes, I think like for Chris, when he went to rental yield game, right, it was because at that point, due to financial issues, he wanted to retire his parents, and for his parents, due to certain age, due to certain amount of loan that they can take. Certain strategies work for some people, and in this case, it was towards the rental side. But if you're someone, you're starting out and you still have the ability to take loan, we suggest that you focus more on the capital appreciation side. So also reach out to your brokers to understand more on the different kind of strategies, because there is no, I would say, one size fit all, whether you're going to rental side or whether you're going to capital appreciation.
Yes, indeed. And based on your age, the strategy will be slightly different, and based on your needs also. Yeah, one more thing I want to highlight, last part, which is if you're someone who is, I would say, younger, or in fact, you have a property and don't mind investing in one thing that when we list out the entire portfolio, ranging from resi to commercial, even Ori included recently, what we notice over here is the rental yield that we add on. Okay, the returns is about 271K, okay, after netting off debt and all the costs. Yeah, so this is something that we're looking at, interest, your property tax, or your miscellaneous costs. The returns is about 271K per annum, which is only 13.4% of my initial portfolio. But what I noticed after I analyzed the initial portfolio and the equity down payment, the one that actually make the most is actually my capital appreciation. So there's something that if you can see the returns over here is 22.57% compound, like simple interest per annum. It's actually higher than that of rental. So if there's a case where for me, if I go back in time, I noticed if I would look at the portfolio and I restructure it, instead of going into commercial, I started from resi and buying a bigger bedroom type, 4-bedder or even 5-bedder, potentially the returns could be actually much, much higher as compared to just going a rental you play. Because at the end of the day, when you net off all the costs with high interest rate, property tax, in the end, the returns doesn't give. And take note, this, if you talk about just resi component, I don't earn a lot. The one that actually lit me up is actually my commercial, which is high rental yield. Yeah. But this is actually more towards a defensive play strategy, and one that is more, I would say, towards retirement planning. So based on your different, I would say, portfolio, you need to cater a strategy that is catered to you, which our investment team will more than happy to advise according how do we analyze that.
Yeah.
So with this, we come to the last part. Okay, the final results. ParkTown or Elta? Okay.
So what's your choice?
Wow, it's a boa approach. Okay, so it's this time okay, ParkTown or Elta. Which is our preference lah? Okay, so
preference.
preference lah. Okay, so we have an answer in mind. Okay, let's same thing. Boa approach. 3, 2, 1. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Elta. Okay, so why Elta?
Because west side. I'm kidding. Okay, I think Elta for me, okay, I think for ParkTown, right, it fits people's criteria if they want connectivity in terms of own stay. But I always feel that integrated development, there is always a much higher premium. And when we track back all integrated developments, right, they all make, so they are profitable.
Yes.
It's just that if you're comparing with, let's say, developments that are not in the best areas, that people are not hyping up because they say that it's a very bad location, more than often these developments tend to do a bit better when you're talking about pure profitability. Elta-wise is because I've seen developments in that area. Yes, it doesn't have the MRT or walkable to any malls, right? But it has shown again and again past developments that they all perform well. And if you were to go and trace back on their entry price, they are initially priced slightly higher. So for Elta-wise, I'm not so worried that, they are priced slightly higher above the OCR average, as long as my gap with the resale is not very, very wide.
Yes, indeed. And for ParkTown by itself, one thing to take note is the entry price bought is higher. The likelihood to exit is actually need to be much higher. And of course, ParkTown, not saying that all units cannot consider. They're definitely a walk-away price that we are very, very strict about, which all our brokers have. Then you have, I would say, a higher chance of getting something they appreciate and use the market hype to push it up.
Yep.
But on the other hand, for Elta, for me, I am someone who more into, I would say, safe bet. That's compared to that of like hyping for the next launch. Because, for example, the next land bid is coming up. Maybe you can say 2.5. Technically, it should be 2.5, but it launched lower. That is where you may miss the mark. But kidding over here is the only way you can actually really truly use ParkTown to push is when you see that the hype, where people are willing to buy 2.5, 2.6, 2.7 in the same day when they're overhyped. That's when you buy lower, and that is when you can make the margin. So it's a different game strategy, but you need to be very, very careful about your walk-away price.
But again, now we are just basing it on the indicative prices because honestly, we didn't expect ParkTown to really launch their cheapest unit at like 2.2 plus. And honestly, for Elta, I think it was slightly lower than what we expect. But again, indicative prices are not launch day prices because we've seen so many times that, developer on the launch day itself, you have that one indicative lowest price and then there's the next huge jump.
Yes.
So just make sure that, regardless of which developments you're entering in, unit selection and the price, make sure you have a walk-away price. Don't just go in and just buy for the sake of buying because when it comes to exiting, you're going to have a problem with that. So be very strict with your walk-away price also.
Yes, indeed. So with this, we come to the end of this video. I hope that you enjoy the analysis and something that we hope to continue to value add accordingly so that we'll be able to bring more value in the days to come. Okay, so before we end, of course, we are having an investment summit very soon. Yep, which is the first quarter 2025. The dates will be out, okay, very, very soon. We should stay tuned to our Telegram channel. So if you have any questions, once again, do remember to contact us right below, okay, in our investment team or in our brokers. We're more than happy to reach out to you. And of course, you're invited by Jane, a broker, do let us know the name so we can link you up with him and they are more than well equipped to be able to help you for your investment journey. So this come to the end of this video. My name is Christian.
This is Grace. We'll see the next live.
Yes, bye-bye.